It's so cool to have just gotten off a call with the Galloy team and then have Andrew jump in here. It's like one big happy family. So nice to see you, Andrew.
Yeah, how was that call?
Very good. Went through a lot of awesome send flows that Ellie's been working on. Thanks for joining, everybody. We're just doing some hype and promo on this Twitter space, waiting a little bit for people to filter into the room.
I missed half of what you said, Mo, but I think it was related to hopping off a call together, looking through some UX evolution of Bitcoin Beach Wallet. Yeah, thank you guys for joining that. It's super cool. Really excited about. We have a lot to do, but this was really a first, I think, big step in terms of the evolved experience. So yeah, thank you. I was telling Mia after that this community is just so great. Like anytime you jump on, like there's just good discussion, good feedback, and I think it makes it really helpful to be going towards like development, having gotten eyes on a product from folks like yourself that are looking at every wallet and every experience on a pretty regular basis. So thank you.
We also have Daniel here, who's also from the Galloy team. So two people from the Galloy team here on the call. Nice to have both of you here.
Yeah, Daniel is on the sort of the business development side, also part of the 21 crew, and did an awesome presentation down at Adopting Bitcoin on the Galoy platform. So we've been doing a lot of work. So we just moved on from the Bitcoin Beach wallet, more the UX side, but working a lot with Daniel in terms of the open source Galoy platform that enables other communities or organizations to build solutions and banking products on top of Bitcoin. And so Daniel's leading a lot of that effort. That's equally exciting development.
All right, so how you feeling, Crystal? Should we go ahead and kick things off, or do you want to wait another minute or two?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's officially kick this one off. This is the where are we? We're in community call number 41, I think. Usually a time every 3 weeks where we just chit chat about current topics. Sometimes we have someone presenting. Sometimes we have a topic that is hotly debated. Sometimes we have an announcement. All kinds of different things happen here. And something we did before, and then Stephen, you suggested also, is that we could use it to go over the newsletter. And because the newsletter also comes out every 3 weeks, it is a very short summary of what happens in the community for anyone who doesn't want to hang out in Slack all day long. There's a link here pinned to the top of this Twitter space if you want to check it out, which you should. And there is a lot going on. And unless you really pay a lot of attention, it's just easy to miss most of it. Even I pay attention all day long and I still miss out on a lot of things. So there really is a lot going on. So hopefully, if we chat about a few things in this call and maybe, with the newsletter, it'll be a good way to keep people informed as well as the Twitter space. I actually thought of talking a little bit first about the newsletter. So we're in newsletter number 36 now. Let's take a quick look. There are 458 subscribers. And it's currently managed by Mo, myself, and Johns. Originally, the crew was Johns, myself, and Connor. And now Mo stepped in for Connor. And if anyone wants to help write this newsletter, you are more than welcome. Always great. It's kind of a nice way. The research of doing that newsletter, it's not a ton of work, but it is actually pretty nice to kind of just go through the different channels and just kind of go over GitHub a little bit, just kind of see what everyone's been doing. I actually do enjoy it quite a bit because it's like just a nice way to keep in touch with what everyone's doing. But enough rambling for now. How does that sound, Stephen? You do not work on the newsletter. How do you perceive it?
It's good. It's my nice little monthly update, reminder about everything that's going on.
is there a lot in there that you're not aware of until you read it there?
Yeah, I'd say about 50% of it I'm probably not aware of.
Yeah. Anything that stood out in the one that went out today?
Sorry, I had to shift some tabs around here. Yeah, I mean, I think well, I was hoping to get to all of it today here. I feel like I feel like everything that was in this thing, I kind of already. I guess I've been a little more tuned into Slack lately, so I feel like all of this stuff. Um, I'd kind of been familiar with. But yeah, how did you want to go? I mean, did you want to just go through from the top here and take it from the top and kind of hit everything real quick, or you trying to call out specific things?
Not totally. We can just start top to bottom. And if
Yeah,
anyone in the audience here wants to chime in on anything, then you just raise your hand. We'll add you to the stage.
yeah. New
Um,
format, everybody. We're experimenting.
yeah. So we'll see. See where it takes us. By the way, it's bitcoindesign.substack.com. We're going to look at the update number 36. So the first thing is always about the community call, which we're on, and the second one was about Bolt 12 and async payments. And unfortunately, so that was a really good call, but it was not recorded. There was a problem with the recording. Um, but that should ideally turn into something a little bit bigger. And Stephen, you are very in tune with that effort. Do you want to maybe do a quick summary of that one?
Yeah, sure. I could talk about that one a little bit. So the basic gist of it is that you've got these two different kind of payment specs that are being talked about. One of them is Bolt 12, which among many things would allow for kind of a reusable QR code. And then another thing that you have is async payments, which is this idea of could a Lightning node, essentially receive payments while it's offline? It's a little more technical than that, but yeah, it's basically a mechanism for being able to have a Lightning wallet that can receive payments while the phone's in the user's pocket and the wallet's not open. So yeah, Spiral about it, and particularly async payments, rapidly evolving specs. Um, there's a lot of work and a lot of stuff being, discussed and debated by the engineers, and we're trying to work on some UI flows to figure out what async payments will look like, especially in a world where not all Lightning wallets support it yet. So if you are interested in doing some UI work on that, you can hop into the Bolt 12 Async UX channel on Slack or just DM me about it, and I would love to work with you on it.
Yeah, so the way I look at it is that in a few years, ideally, all Lightning payments will just work. No matter what wallet you have, no matter if one person's online or if they have a desktop or a mobile or an Android or iPhone or whatever. And now it works pretty well. It worked better than a year ago. It worked better than 2 years ago. But there's still a variety of circumstances and devices and situations where there are just problems. And for some of those, we need some of these technical changes to mature and get adopted. And then, of course, there's kind of an awkward transition phase where it will mostly work, but certain things will not, and then maybe half a year later, some of those things will work, but other ones might still be a little bit iffy. So from the UX side, we really want to avoid people just feeling like it's a gamble if it's going to work or not, or like they have to be super careful and only sometimes do Lightning payments. We want them to be in a situation where they can ideally trust it, and if that it will work, and if it doesn't work, they can trust that they'll be informed about how they can still make their payment or whatever they want to do with maybe just doing something slightly different or so. So ideally, we kind of have this evolving UX over the years until we get to this ideal end stage where it just works in all situations. So it's very intricate, I think, but also a really good design challenge.
Yep, agreed.
So moving on, the next topic or next point in the newsletter was about PayJoin. So there's an upcoming Learning Bitcoin and Design session, and once again, Stephen, since you lead that
Yeah.
session and organized it.
Yeah, I can touch on that a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I started doing this call series earlier in the year called Learning Bitcoin and Design, and it. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted for a second there. Yeah, so it was basically, kind of these learning sessions where we get together, we talk about a topic and, Bitcoin or Lightning Network or whatever, kind of try and break down the technology more from a designer's perspective. And so rebooting that call series now, our first one is going to be with Dan Gould. He worked on a privacy-focused wallet called Chaincase for a while now. And he also has a project in the Legends of Lightning tournament I think it was called No Looking, if I remember correctly. Anyway, so PayJoins is this kind of idea that Dan is really interested in. And I saw that he was trying to, figure out in the community, like if there was people interested in exploring this technology. So I thought we'd do a learning Bitcoin and design session. And it's basically just this kind of on-chain privacy technique. Dan, it's complicated, but interesting. Dan can explain it to us a little bit better, but that will be, I think, in December 6th, if I remember my date correctly. It's in the newsletter, but should be a, interesting call, and we'll record it for anyone who can't make it.
Awesome. Yeah, and part of these calls is to just make it to discuss somewhat complex things, either design or tech, but explain it in a very simple way. So it's a good learning experience, a kind of a group learning experience, ideally. So no worries if you're not up to par or up to speed with what PayJoins are. So I really like that call series. Big fan. Another one call series, and that's where I'd like Mo to speak about a little bit, is the UX research call. And there is one coming up on, what is that, tomorrow? UX Research Toolkit, December 1st, call number 8.
Yep, call number 8. Eight's my lucky number, so I think this is going to be a good one. So these calls are completely open to everyone. Thanks for highlighting it, Christoph. So at the moment, I'm just working on a UX research toolkit for the entire ecosystem to use and for their projects. And I just had the idea to get some eyes on it, get people to basically just rip it apart, tell me what's wrong with it, tell me what's not practical. I think I'm very lucky because there's 2 UX researchers who will be jumping on the call with me tomorrow. And I'm just inviting them to rip it apart and tell me what's wrong with it, tell me how to improve it, so that I can make it better and maybe include some tools that I haven't thought about. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The call's open to everyone, so would love to see anyone there.
Awesome. Yeah. So next up is Mo. You also added that's something you added in the newsletter. It's a good one. So I think it was Ken who caused that explosion of Bitcoin art in our art channel. So I think someone discovered AI creation tools.
Secret.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
carp flautist.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess some person discovered AI creation tools and just went wild with them. So I also have a lot of fun with them, use them in the Saving Satoshi project for bold fun. I think it's super cool, super interesting, lots of new opportunities to, I think for conceptual design, it's really great where you can just kind of rough things in. But I think it's also possible to use them a lot further, especially if you have kind of a collage design style or so. So I think that's pretty exciting area of design right now. So if anyone wants to, has played around with those tools, has used them for Bitcoin projects or otherwise, check out the art channel. I think what we saw there a lot right now are monsters, some kind of Bitcoin monsters. Those kind of the most of those creations.
I've been rocking Midjourney myself, and I used it for a lot of the art in my slide deck at Adopting Bitcoin, and I've also started using it for call covers and stuff too. So I'm having fun experimenting as well.
And it comes with a warning. Please beware, it can be slightly addictive. Pre-warning. Once you get into it, you might want to just keep on running with it.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to do. So one of the things that I found, I use Diffusion B, which is a desktop app I can just run in the background, and it has a setting to just create 100 images at once. So I'll just type something in, I'll just let it, work in the background while I'm doing other things, and then, because you always need a lot of images created until you find one that you like. So it's kind of a nice thing to just kind of let it do its thing for a while and just poke in here and there. All right, cool. The next one is, oh yeah, Taproot was activated a little over a year ago. Actually, anyone know when exactly this was? I thought it was November 14.
Around
specific block height. Yeah. So, Stephen, how are we doing with Taproot these days? Everyone supported?
It could be better. Honestly, while I helped design the website and make the blue bunnies and all that, Merch is the one who's really been taking the initiative on the website and been reaching out to projects and stuff like that. So, we've seen a couple of good ones, I believe. I think Blixt added send receive support for Taproot addresses. I want to say Strike did send support, and one other that I cannot remember off the top of my head, but we had a third one recently. So yeah, we definitely have a ways to go in the industry, but we've seen a couple new additions this month, which has been cool.
Nice. Yeah. So if you go to whentaproot.org, there's in the nav at the top, there's an option called State of Taproot Support, and that shows you which services do support it and which ones don't. And the ones that do not support it yet, there are some really big names in there, which is really kind of unfortunate. I hope they, we'll see more adoption there soon.
We removed FTX from the website, I think. That's all PR for that. So,
yeah, that support is no longer necessary, I guess. Okay, then the Wallet Scrutiny project, that's the next one. So that is a fairly young collaboration. And so if you go to, walletscrutiny.com, it's a .com, the goal of Wallet Scrutiny is to analyze Bitcoin wallets and just see kind of how secure they are, how they can screw you over and how they can't screw you over. And reproducibility is one of those hard, very, very difficult things to achieve. Basically means that, let's say you download an application from App Store, Play Store, that the binary that you get delivered right there is the identical one that you can reproduce from the source code provided on GitHub. So that means there can be no code that was at any point injected that could potentially take your coins away. And that's a very difficult one. One difficult aspect of it is some of these publishing requirements by the Apple App Store, where there's always, and something specific there is that it requires a timestamp. And those are not really easy to fake or reproduce. And then obviously the iPhone is pretty locked down. So it's kind of difficult. But they're putting a huge effort now, the project, to just kind of improve the website, to improve their methodology, to improve basically everything about this whole experience. And the design community is partnering with them. And I think some of the buckets of work that are going to happen is branding, just rethink kind of the logo, colors, appearance, fonts, then web design to improve the overall usability. And streamline kind of the web experience, and then information design. And that is more an aspect of thinking about how the methodology currently works for all these security reviews and how to best communicate that to users. Because the security researchers have a very specific, very tight process that they go through, and the information they produce is kind of hard to understand for a normal person who just kind of wants to see how good their wallet is. So and that requires all kinds of discussion. So if anyone wants to help out with that, we just started with it with kind of early discussions and kind of throwing back and forth ideas and some designs. So I'm excited to see where that one will end up at. Looking back at the newsletter, the next section is the Bitcoin design guide. So Mo, this is a big one for you. The Blixt case study went live. Would you like to chat about that one? And we have Mia White here as well. We had
This
a
is
role to play
perfect.
in that.
Oh, I love it. You've invited her to speak as well. Yeah, it feels so nice to have this little baby, as I would call it, that Mia and I started working on. Well, the whole community started working on it, and we kind of went over the sprint time, and we kind of went over, did prototype testing, but we basically redesigned the interface of Blixt Wallet and really tried to redesign it based on the feedback, user research. And we've now created a case study with it, and it's finally live. The first case study in the Bitcoin Design Guide. I am super happy, but I'd also love to invite Mia to speak about it as well, because she was definitely my partner in crime with finishing this project all the way through to the end. So feel free to speak, Mia.
Yeah, I mean, it was it was a road to, I don't know how to say this, but it was good to have it seen it live and have the case study up. It just made me realize how much like micro copy is important. People read things and understand them very differently than when you write them yourself as a designer. So that definitely, I think, highlighted the need to always make the copy review by people who are actually using the wallets. Well, this is one of the main points I'm thinking, like, from this experience. Is there other points you learn, Mo, when you build that case study? Because also thank you to you, because you finished that case study. I know I was part of it, of the process and all that, but putting the results on the paper, that's a huge part of the process as well.
Yeah, I think the biggest learning lessons, well, as you very well pointed out, and something that I've definitely learned from Christoph, is that the copy on the design is as much a big part of the design as the design itself. And that's definitely, it feels like something that we're all still learning more about within the ecosystem of all these applications that we come across. And also something that we saw with a review of the merchant wallet that you redesigned and that you've shared with us today. But I think biggest thing is the copy, and also starting off with the sprint is that when you create your prototype might not always contain everything that you think it needs. So you'll have to go back to the drawing board, But it was great. I really enjoyed it. Happy it's live now in the Bitcoin Design Guide. So thank you for everyone who worked on it.
No, thank you, Mo.
So when's the next sprint starting?
In 2025. Christoph, there's so many sprints going on in the community at the moment. I'm not sure if we would call them sprints, they're more like long-term projects, but no, don't ask.
Yeah, so it's the idea then was to continuously do sprints in a very rapid format, once a month or so. But then the Blixt wallet got a lot more involved. I think another way to look at it is to just have the sprint format as one possible way to run a project. And then because right now, as Mo said, we have a whole bunch of projects active in the community. We don't need to start any new ones. No one's bored. Everybody's just really busy. So just kind of keep that sprint format in mind. And then let's say we think it's appropriate for a certain project or a certain design task, then we can just continue using that format, but not have it as its own dedicated call series in a way. So yeah.
And that's also something really good to mention for anyone else on this call, is that, the Bitcoin design community is very open to helping other projects. And, so if you're in the community, feel free to post about your project and, get some more eyes on it or ask help if you have any questions. The Galoy team has been doing that also, which is why we end up having a call with them. So if there's anyone on the call as well who'd like some eyes on their project, it's definitely something that the Bitcoin design community is open to helping with.
Yeah, and speaking of Galoy, the next bullet in the newsletter is about merchant product sessions, and the first call just happened right before this session here. So I think you already mentioned it very briefly at the beginning of the call, but is there anything else you'd like to add to it?
Well, yeah, I'll provide a little bit of context, and then maybe Andrew and Mia can step in. Yeah, so we're doing some merchants work for the Bitcoin Design Guide, just trying to add more content that's relevant to like the checkout point of sale experience, and just generally like how the kind of merchant manages their finances on top of Bitcoin. So in order to kind of get some information collection and stuff going on, thought it'd be good to look at existing merchant related products on the market. Things like BTC Pay Server and OpenNode come to mind, but also in-person stuff like IBEX Mercado, and then you got Bitcoin Beach Wallet, and they recently did a cash register function, and Mia was looking for some feedback on some of the recent design work she's doing. So we kicked off our first merchant product kind of review session talking about Bitcoin Beach Wallet. And so, yeah, maybe Andrew and Mia could talk about all of what's going on with Galoy these days.
Yeah, I'm happy to hop in there for a second. So I just shared a tweet to the Nest. So, one of the things that we're continually working on is, trying to build the Bitcoin Beach wallet in a way that it helps stimulate the circular Bitcoin economies that use it, right? So Bitcoin Beach, Bitcoin Lake in Guatemala, Bitcoin Beach, Brazil. There's these communities that, it's really a wallet that is used both by merchants who are selling products as well as people who are spending Bitcoin. And for those who've been on these calls in the past, you may remember that in the early days of Bitcoin Beach Wallet, we needed solutions to make it to make accepting Bitcoin as easy or easier than accepting cash, right? So some of these communities are mostly unbanked, and actually accepting $1 for a pupusa is in cash is easier than making somebody who's got dirty hands from making food, has to take out their phone, open it, log in, create an invoice, right? There's many steps to that. And so in the early days, we created a printable pay code, so a printable QR that allows the customer to scan and input an amount. And you mentioned, Christoph, I think point one of the newsletter was around sort of Bolt 12 and some of the bright future that we have ahead of us. But in today's reality, we have to continue to design solutions like that are in the real world and can be used by everybody. So one of the things that Mia did was updated what used to be kind of a tipping page that wasn't super mobile friendly, was not really as seamless as it could be, to a new cash register. So I popped a tweet in the Nest. We tested this out at Adopting Bitcoin, and so all of the food merchants and swag booths and things like this were using this cash register. So essentially, it's a web app that you can pin to your home screen to use as an application. And it allows merchants to accept Bitcoin to their Bitcoin Beach Wallet account without logging in. So it's really targeted towards individuals who are selling things, or small merchants with, say, 2 or 3 people that otherwise would be kind of sharing a phone, which isn't that safe, right? Like enabling people to, send funds out of your business account or something. And so this cash register, you just pop it open. It's a quick number pad. And the funds that come in go directly to that owner's Bitcoin Beach Wallet account. And we actually, at the conference, developed this dashboard, which you can see a screenshot of in the tweet there, to track. Basically, we had 7 different merchants, and we could track like how much Bitcoin was being spent at each merchant. And so, yeah. Early days for it, but like really excited about this. Really good feedback from the community so far. And I've been using it myself. Like I feel like it's Stephen, you mentioned earlier, it's something you could pop in your Twitter bio, or use to accept tips or donations. And it's like just a couple quick clicks to accept Bitcoin, and allow the sort of the sender to set an amount in that sort of tipping scenario. At the point of sale, you could have like an iPad, a computer, or a phone. Again, that's not authenticated into the account, that's able to receive sats as well. So yeah, really, really excited about it. And I don't know, Mia, if you have any thoughts or learnings or anything. Kudos to you, and I'll pass the microphone if you have anything.
I think you summed it up pretty well, Andrew. Honestly, I don't have anything relevant to add more to that.
and
we'll
I guess, sorry, I was going to say the last thing is, dialing back to the call that we just had. We are also making improvements to the Bitcoin Beach wallet itself, and so we hopped on a call with Stephen and Mo and a couple others, and Mia walked us through some send flows. I think that just something worth sharing is we're really designing for really new users onboarding to Bitcoin for the first time via a Lightning wallet, right? So rather, it's an interesting use case where many of the folks on this call are orange pilled, have spent 100 or hundreds or thousands of hours learning about Bitcoin, and designing a Lightning wallet for those individuals is very different than, say, El Salvador, where Bitcoin is legal tender, where Bitcoin as a concept is really completely new, right? And you're accepting sats, but you don't really understand the foundational sort of principles of Bitcoin potentially. And so a couple things that we talked about, which I think are really interesting, is having some contextual education to be able to break down some of the terminology, right? As you're creating an invoice or paying an invoice, why, on-chain, how long an on-chain payment can take to go through, yeah, really kind of helping folks through it. I almost see it like if you think about tax software, which is like, I'm not an expert on taxes, but they have a little like sidebar that like breaks down some terminology to help me get through the experience. So I think Mia's done a really great job in getting into the mindset of somebody who has questions. We spoke to the support team who gets these questions on a daily basis, and we're trying to design some of that into the experience. And one of the things that we went through today is a couple different flows for sending, and some of them are more steps and some of them are less steps. But the idea is you want to make it very quick and easy, but also give the context that somebody needs to make sure that they understand that these payments are final, for instance. Or if you're entering in somebody's username or Lightning address, there's sort of a check that says, hey, you haven't sent to this user before. This payment is final. Are you sure you'd like to send there? So we're trying to sort of help eliminate some of the errors that happen that can hurt somebody's maybe early experiences with Bitcoin. So yeah.
And just a huge kudos to Mia, because the design work that she's done is incredible. So really, I can't wait to see can't wait to see that come live into the ecosystem. And what I really appreciate, and what she's doing is she's designing, and then she's getting some user feedback, and then incorporating a little bit of user research. Then she's going back to the drawing board, she's designing again, and she's doing this constant iteration process. And it's really beautiful to watch and to be a part of. So thank you for sharing your work openly with the community.
No, I want to give a big shout out to the Bitcoin design community. Like, thank you for staying in the call. I know it can be like a long call and going like over an hour, but the feedback is so much appreciated. And yeah, the goal is also to do user testing from this flow. So I'm aiming to test on 5 regular users of BBW and 5 5 non-regular users of BBW and that don't have a lot of knowledge of Bitcoin. So stay tuned, because after that research is done, I'll definitely share the findings. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
One last point there for folks who are listening. If you're interested in, we're building everything we build we're building open source platform, right? And we're really trying to be open and inclusive and collaborative with the process, as you can probably see here. But we're pretty we're usual suspects in the merchants channel on Bitcoin's design Slack. And we also have chat.galloy.io. So if you're interested in checking out prototypes, providing feedback, feel free to reach out to Mia, myself, or join us on that chat.
It's awesome. I love it how open all of this is. And the call that you just described, that one was recorded, right? And will be uploaded to YouTube?
Yeah, it'll go to YouTube, later today or something.
Yeah. So I haven't seen it. I missed it. I had to run an errand, but I'm gonna check that one out. So we have a YouTube. I think the channel is just called Bitcoin Design. So keep your eye on that one for that call that everyone was just raving about. I'm definitely gonna peek in and check out those designs. And Mia, are your design files also publicly available for anyone?
Yes, they are public. I can definitely share the link to you, Christoph. And also in the general channel of the Bitcoin Design, or whatever channel is appropriate.
Awesome. So for anyone who wants to give feedback, you have not missed your chance. There's still lots of opportunity to do so, and you're more than welcome to do that. All right, cool. So let's go to the next one. Okay, so the next bullet in the newsletter is about our bi-weekly jam sessions about the Bitcoin Design Guide. So as you may know, the Bitcoin Design Guide is 2.5 years old or so, I think. It's gotten fairly big. Sometimes there are more people on there working on it. Sometimes there are fewer. The group kind of changes, and based on whatever happens to be going on at the moment. And we have this bi-weekly jam session where we just kind of get together and discuss about what everyone's working on at the moment, how they're doing, if they need feedback, if they want help with anything. And then just kind of also chat a little bit about what everyone wants to do next. The majority of the work still happens asynchronously. The call is not mandatory. We use GitHub and Slack and Google Docs and Figma and all kinds of other tools for the process, but this is one of those calls if you want to just kind of tune in. That happens every other Monday, I believe. And those are also recorded and put on YouTube and Bitcoin TV, where we also have a channel. So tune into that one if you're interested. You're more than welcome to do so. Next bullet is about getting the guide ready for localization to other languages. And so that's more of an idea right now. There was a group of people in Spain that we met at Bitcoin Barcelona that were potentially interested in helping kick off this localization, but we don't have the technical infrastructure in place. So it's a little bit improvised right now. Maybe with your help, we can get this going. So whether it's on the localization side or the, figuring out how to do this workflow. So that's I hope we can make some good progress on that, especially in the next year. The next section is about seeking feedback, and this is an interesting one. Which hardware wallet do you recommend? Jakob was wondering, he wanted to buy a hardware wallet for, what is it, Black Friday or Cyber Monday, whatever that's called. And and everyone here on the call, what do you recommend? Which one do you? You don't have to give away which one you use, but are there any ones that you would say, use this one, don't use that one?
I think you need to go out into the mountains somewhere with a pickaxe, and you need to dig through the dirt until you find silicon ore, and you need to build your own refinery in your backyard, and you need to you put that in some shapeable form that a 3D printer can use, and you need to 3D print your own circuitry for your own hardware wallet. Because if you do that, that's the only way that you can really trust that the hardware hasn't been tampered with and that someone isn't going to steal your Bitcoin.
Someone played too much Minecraft, I think.
Next best to Stevens is the Seed Center, where you can actually put it together, build it yourself with readily available parts. I just did that for the first time last week, which was really awesome. I mean, if you're not already following what the Seed Signer project is doing, I would definitely check them out, follow them on Twitter, and kind of familiarize yourselves. It's just like their whole approach to making signing devices accessible and low cost, and sort of build yourself and open source is really commendable, and really I mean the design and the UX work they're doing as well is really impressive. So I'd give them a hat tip.
Yeah, I need to get one of those still. So I've been collecting a few hardware wallets as part of just my own UX research as well. So I use one, of course, but I also have Ledger, Trezor, Coldcard, Bitbox, and I have a Jade here as well. And part of it was simply getting familiar with the UX, with the whole experience from opening it to purchasing it to opening the package, setting it up for the first time, making transactions, clearing it out, re-importing or restoring something. I think I learned a lot from just going through those in person and going through that process. So I found it super helpful. Yeah, so I think I can highly recommend if you don't have one. I like the Bitbox O2, the Bitcoin only one, and I'm also a Coldcard fan. They don't come with some of the other stuff and the involved attack surface of other products. But I also haven't tried a lot of the other ones that I didn't mention.
Another thing to take into account with like hardware devices too is like what software that you end up choosing to use with it, because like it's like the devices themselves are like fairly simple. I mean, they all have their own quirks, but there's like a lot, very very little you can actually do on a lot of these devices, and I think a lot of it is like what software are you using on the computer to actually build these Bitcoin transactions, and then like how do you interact with the hardware signer and the like software that's on the computer? Like, is it like something you have to scan, or are you plugging it in, and how easy to use is the software on the computer? So other considerations that not directly relevant to the hardware, but it's part of the same kind of flow.
I second CoinCard by CoinKite. Definitely enjoyed that user experience of setting it up. I have two more unopened, as encouraged by my fellow peers within the Bitcoin design community to try out different hardware wallets. So I still have a Ledger Nano, which is unopened, and one we received it as a gift when we were in Barcelona. I forget the name, Blockstream. I have a Blockstream one as well. So curious to test out those as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone have any recommendations here? Anything you'd like to share or not share? If you can just raise your hand, I'll add you to the stage if you want to. If not, also cool. Let's see. Oh yeah, then the next bullet, we already discussed that one. That was about the cash register. Galoy, European Bitcoiners are looking for help improving their website. Mo, do you have any details on that one?
So these are the European Bitcoiners. Yeah, we met them in Barcelona, and it's kind of a two-way process, because they're gonna kind of help us with the translation of the Bitcoin design guide. And one of the guys reached out after we did some presentations there if we could get some eyes on their website. So that's EuropeanBitcoiners.com. I hope I'm saying it correctly. But yeah, they they joined Slack, and we're trying to set up a call with them. So they're trying to basically just make the website more approachable, and that's really nice that they approached us and that they felt open to doing so. So yeah, that's also open to anyone. At the moment, we're still trying to set up a call time with them, and once that's set up, we'll basically just share it with the community, and it will be open to the community. yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's super interesting. I'm just looking at their website. They have all kinds of articles in different languages. Um, do you? I heard something that they do a lot of translations. Are those articles that they write, or do they simply localize articles from other sources?
I don't quite know the answer to that question, but I do know, as you said, is that they really focused on language translations. From what I understood, and if anyone from European Bitcoin is listening to this, their main focus is helping other Bitcoin projects to translate. So it feels like there's a little bit of a community of people with different languages. I think it's mainly Spanish behind that community that of European Bitcoiners, and they basically just help other projects with translation and that kind of things. It seems there's quite a lot of different languages of articles, as you said on the website.
So cool, all these different communities. All right. Okay, cool. Next one. This one is under the everything else category. So Johns was in the Kevin Rook show talking about Bolt Fun and accelerating Bitcoin adoption. That's a good one. So Bolt Fun, if you're not familiar with it, they have the Legends of Lightning tournament happening right now, a 2-month hackathon, and they announced the shortlist, and then I think next Tuesday will be the final presentations of these finalists or of that shortlist, and then based on those will be the winners will be picked. That will then be called the. I think there's one grand champion, and then they have a few other prizes. There's a global adoption track, and there's a Build for Africa track. So super interesting. Check it out at bolt.fun. And John's on this podcast. He was just telling the story of all of these efforts. He puts in pretty much an insane amount of work into all of this.
And also, just to point out, there are two people who are being extremely humble on this phone call. So I'll just, raise it to the surface. Both Steven's project for Bolt Fun, as well as a project that Christoph was working on, they both made it through to the semifinals. So I'd like to give them a huge round of applause because the work that they've done is absolutely amazing. So yeah, they're being super humble by not saying anything. So I'll go ahead and say it.
Well, thank you, Mo. Okay, next one. Let's continue being humble and move on to other things. So there's Pav has had the idea to capture user feedback on Lightning payments. So as we talked about earlier, during adopting Bitcoin, you get these threads on Twitter pop up about like, I went to the grocery store and my Lightning payment worked, or I bought this and that and it didn't work. It seems to be something that just comes with this conference. And so the idea was to capture all this feedback to better understand the specific design challenges, because as we mentioned earlier, there are certain things that don't work, but it's really important to understand in what situations they don't work. Is it certain types of devices, certain parts of the world with like a slow internet connection on Android devices on a hot day, or what are these specific scenarios that allow us to better understand where those problems arise, because it will allow us to create much better or more complete design solutions that don't just address maybe the technical aspect, but the whole situation. So the idea was then, or the kind of the discussion, there's nothing really has come out of it yet. Some ideas were thrown around, but what's the best way to capture this feedback where people can self-report their experience with either successful or unsuccessful Lightning payments? And if there's a way to do this, that's of course privacy preserving, and that could then be gathered and turned into actionable design improvements. Mo, has there anything else on that front since then? I think this was the latest status from Monday.
Sorry, Christoph, I was literally just walking to another part of my house as you said that. Could you just refresh my mind on the topic again?
Oh yeah, it's about the idea by Pav to capture Bitcoin and Lightning payment feedback.
Oh yes, sorry. Yeah, Pav, that was absolutely brilliant from Pav. I mean, I think he met someone when we were at Barcelona where we did the presentations, and they suggested to create this way of capturing data with regards to failed Bitcoin send payments. So when someone's trying to send and there's a failure in the sending process, then what is the user seeing on the interface, those kind of things. And the idea that Pav had behind that was if we capture this data, it might help us to really start to kind of narrow down the main problems that people are facing amongst all the different wallets when they're trying to send, whether that's on chain or via Lightning. So the idea is to come up with this sort of form to capture that data. And when people would have a failed transaction, they would just fill in a couple of questions, maybe capture a couple screenshots, and then that data can be basically open for the rest of the community to make decisions with regards to those failed payments, which I think is quite a big thing. So yeah, that's the idea. Work in progress.
Yeah, and I think Path got the domain bitcoinpayments.failed. So
Yep.
keep an eye out on that one. Maybe there's some, or if you'd like to help with it, maybe there will be something.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, this type of information is just so valuable for designers and builders, but it's also very difficult to get to. Every wallet has their own Telegram and GitHub, and or people complain on Reddit or wherever else, or just kind of to their neighbors. But getting this information and making it usable to the people who then can make those changes to improve things is it's pretty crucial, but also very difficult. We're about.
Oh, sorry. Real quick one. I think one thing that's super popular, right, is posting your video of a Lightning payment, and most of the time people are bragging about how awesome it is, but I think maybe if it's a hashtag or an account or something, or a way to incentivize people to they're trying to record a successful payment, but it didn't work, to share that as well, and to bubble that to the top, because that could be an interesting, input maybe to this site, this experience. I know I have a few. They're like in the camera roll. It's like, oh, that didn't work. I'm not gonna share it.
Well, Andrew, we'd love your input on that entire data capturing process. So yeah, I'll definitely share that with you, because yeah, you definitely seem to have some insights with regards to that. So yeah, thanks for sharing.
We're getting up on the hour here, Christoph. Should we rapid fire the rest of these?
Sure. Are you good at
That's what they
rapid
say at
firing?
the end of podcasts. It's like, oh, we're going to do some rapid fire questions.
Okay. Are you good at that?
Oh, I don't know. I can rapid fire them if you want. Yeah. So let's see. What is it? Jakob also has been active in the Alby channel, doing some user journey maps there, kind of providing some feedback there. So that's real cool. If you're interested in getting involved in a Lightning browser extension, drop in that channel. Bob and Lindsay dropped into Slack the other day and posted something they've been working on for a Bitcoin-based giving note. This has been kind of an interesting topic where people are, it's an idea a lot of people talked about, but essentially where you're going to try and gift somebody Bitcoin who maybe doesn't have a wallet yet. So it looked like a pretty interesting project. So check the link in the newsletter if you want to provide them feedback on there. Me and Christoph and Mo have started doing weekly blog updates on kind of our open design process. Well, Christoph's been doing it for about a year, and Mo and I just recently jumped on the bandwagon, just being copycats, copying, stealing a good idea. This dude Paco has been traveling the world, been to 22 countries so far, visiting every Bitcoin meetup he can. Reports mostly good vibes, so that's always good to hear. Spiral dropped volume 2 of Bitcoin Mythology. That's been cool. It's a pretty funny website. Also, just hat tip to Spiral for really being a nonconformist. Spiral account has been in this Twitter space the entire call. Only one with a blue check mark. Just real bold fashion statement. I love the nonconformity. Always appreciate that. Interesting research on who develops Bitcoin make you think who designs Bitcoin. I don't know what that bullet point is supposed to mean. I don't know. But maybe Mo can chime in. I don't know what's going on there. But
I had
here's
that
what
one. It's whatever you want it to mean.
All right. Well, I tell you what though. So let's really get to some of these opportunities though, because that's probably going to be of interest to a lot of folks. Got a lot of people looking for either volunteer help or actually to actual hire stuff. So Rob's looking for UI UX contractors. Follow the link to that in the newsletter. Plebium.market is looking for a UX and front end coder. Albie is looking for someone who could do an announcement video. Not sure exactly what they need there, but I'm guessing if you can do like After Effects and Premiere, or even just some basic YouTube editing, it looks like they're looking for some help there. Courtney and Rocky are a seasoned designer looking for new crews. Looks like they're just looking for help there. Wolf NYC, Lightning Accelerator. If you haven't heard about that, they've got a physical space up in New York City. So if you're doing a Lightning startup, you might try to get in with them. Fortress is looking for a digital product designer, and Bitrefill is hiring. Just in general, just hiring. That's it. That's rapid fire. That's all there is.
Awesome. Hold on. I need to emoji clap here. I'm doing
You
it the
literally
wrong
did
way.
what I wanted to do, but then you did it live. Perfect. I'll go ahead and run. Stephen, you have a skill at rapid fire. That is a skill.
So is anybody, we got anybody else here, either on stage or who just in the audience who wanted to, chime in, say anything, ask any questions before we sign off here? Crickets.
Everyone's just overwhelmed by your rapid firing. They're still digesting the information. I know I am.
My
Yeah,
brain
it's a
is still
lot.
digesting. I'm like still half an hour behind.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Then let's wrap it up. Thanks all for tuning in. Let us know in Slack or here on Twitter or so how you like these community calls about the newsletter. And then we can see if we'll do that again next time or tweak it a little bit. And other than that, thanks for joining. Thanks all on the stage for the conversation. And we'll have another one of these calls in about 3 weeks. Make sure to sign up for the Bitcoin Design Calendar, which is just at bitcoin.design/calendar. And you'll always be up to speed with all the various calls and things that are happening. And the newsletter, of course, which is at bitcoindesign.substack.com. So thanks all, and chat soon.
So.
Later, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Have a good evening, morning, or afternoon.